Hello, you're very welcome to my channel. Roisin Curie here, and today I'm going to tell you about some of the mixes that I like in my set of watercolour paints from Roman Szmal. Beautiful watercolours. So we're going to start with how quinacridone magenta mixes with three colours that I commonly mix it with: Aquarius orange, Payne's grey and phthalo blue. Let's get going with those little drawings. These are supposed to be little half pans of watercolour paint. I did start off with a great big page of boxes like you see those colour mixing charts doing. And I thought I would mix every single colour with every single other colour like they do in those charts that you see. But it was so boring to do. My rows of boxes are all crooked. I thought, what is the point of doing this? Why don't I do something a little bit nicer looking? So that's why I decided to do these little pans of watercolour paint. So let's see how they mix. I'm going to start with quinacridone magenta, which is the free gift that I put into every set of paints that I sell. Because, you know, I hummed and hawed so much over my colour choices in this set. And in the end, I decided I needed to include 13, not 12. And that's where quinacridone magenta comes in. It's a really hot pink, and I don't very often use it unmixed, but mixed with other colours, it does wonderful things, like Aquarius orange. I love Aquarius orange. It's kind of a burnt orange, but it's clear and clean, and I really love it. And mixed with quinacridone magenta, it can do all kinds of nice things, and including making a bright red. So that's kind of a pale red where they're knocking into each other, but put another little layer of each on top and you'll get this really rich red. Still looking a bit orangey. Could add a bit more quinacridone magenta on top and it makes a nice clear red. So it can make a warm red or a pinky red depending on the proportions that you use, which kind of gives you a choice, which is always great. On to the next one. This one is Payne's grey, which is my go-to colour for all my needs when it comes to anything from the lightest of grey to the deepest of black, because I don't have black in my set of paints. And not alone is it good for greys and blacks and substitutes for those, but also it's brilliant for mixing with certain colours. And if you mix quinacridone magenta with Payne's grey, you get a very lovely deep purple. Very nice. What about the next one? The next one is phthalo blue or phthalo blue or phthalo blue. Phthalo blue is what I call it because I don't mix in watercolour circles, so I say it my way. I have no idea if that's the right way or the wrong way. But I like phthalo blue. I've forgotten now. I like phthalo blue because it makes a great sky. And mixed with quinacridone magenta, it makes a wonderful, clean, rich, purpley pink. So even if you don't have a purple colour in your set of paints, as long as you have phthalo blue and quinacridone magenta, you will have a stunning, rich purple. Skin tones. This is the one that everybody asks. So you've got 5 colours: yellow ochre, burnt sienna, cypress burnt umber, Payne's grey and cherry quinacridone red. And between these 5 colours you can do any colour mixes at all. For skin tones, doesn't matter how light you are, doesn't matter how dark you are, you will be able to get the right colour by using these colours in different proportions. So let's jump in and see what we can do. Oh, and by the way, gold ochre is incorrectly labelled. It is yellow ochre, number 106. If I was less lazy, I would have corrected the drawing completely. But there you go, lazy. Now, let's put them in. So we've got yellow ochre. We've got burnt sienna. And there's lots of different shades of burnt sienna. Burnt sienna Monte Amiata. There's transparent red oxide. There's all kinds of shades of reddy brown. They'll all do the job nicely. Same for burnt umber. This one is cypress burnt umber, but you can use other shades of burnt umber as well. And then you've got Payne's grey and cherry quinacridone red. And the reason I like cherry quinacridone red is because it's a very soft, clear pink, and it gives a very realistic and delicate skin tone. So here I'm mixing yellow ochre, burnt sienna and cherry quinacridone red. And you can see I've used them quite concentrated. So that is quite a rich skin tone right there where the three colours collide. However, if you use those three colours in the same way but much more dilute, you'll find that it gives you a much paler skin tone. So we're just talking adding a little bit more water to each of the colours as you use them. And you don't have to make them too watery, but just less paint per water, if you know what I mean. And when they dry, you'll see the colour a bit better. So the lights are making my colours really glisten, which makes them colours very difficult to see. But hopefully, well, I don't know. I was going to say hopefully you can see through that, but you can't really. I'll do a close-up at the end of the section and we'll see if that helps. Here we have burnt umber and Payne's grey mixed together. I haven't mixed them in very strong concentrations, but you can get a much richer colour by just adding a layer of each on top when it's dry. The next one is burnt sienna and cypress burnt umber, and the last one is yellow ochre mixed with cherry quinacridone red, just the two of them together. And this is probably the most common colour I use, very highly reflecting the light, making it impossible to see. So let's fix that now. So on the left we have yellow ochre, cherry quinacridone red and burnt sienna, and on the right is the exact same. The only difference between them is that one is more concentrated and one is more dilute. The next one on the far right is cypress burnt umber at the top, yellow ochre on the bottom, and then cherry quinacridone red on the right. Then we have cypress burnt umber again with Payne's grey underneath it, and as I said, a second layer of each of those will darken it up considerably. And in the middle we have burnt sienna at the top and cypress burnt umber at the bottom. And then the last one, the one that was reflecting the light the most, is yellow ochre and cherry quinacridone red on the bottom, used very dilute. And of course, if you vary the proportions of each of those colours, the yellow ochre and the cherry quinacridone red, you'll get a wide variety of skin tones. Okay, on to a little selection of colours that I'm calling sea colours. They're cold colours, and yes, I do use them for the sea. We've got phthalo green blue shade, we've got Payne's grey, ultramarine intense, and we have phthalo blue. Let's see what they look like mixed together. Okay, back to my little pans of paint, watching paint dry, huh? This top one is phthalo green blue shade. The next one over is Payne's grey, once again. Then we have ultramarine intense. Anything with marine in it is going to be good for the sea, right? And then finally we have phthalo blue green shade. Now phthalo green is a funny one. It's not very often used unmixed, but its colour wouldn't be without, because I can make such a variety of beautiful colours with it. Mix it with phthalo blue and you're going to get a really gorgeous turquoise. So that's what I've done here. Next we've got phthalo green once again, mixed with Payne's grey. Now this is a colour mix that I think makes a beautiful sea, certainly off the south coast of Ireland. I was down in Cork one time and I realised that mixing Payne's grey and phthalo green made the perfect colour of the sea I could see in front of me. And in the next one we've got ultramarine intense with phthalo blue. But to be quite honest, you can mix any blues together to get a result that was going to look just right for the sea that you're doing. And this one is ultramarine intense mixed with phthalo green. And the next one is Payne's grey. This time it's mixed with ultramarine intense, making a kind of a dark bluey colour. Now they do change considerably as they dry off, so I will show you a close-up of those when we get there. And finally we've got phthalo blue with Payne's grey. I suggest that you mix the colours together in different ways yourself and see what you think. Oh, one more. Now, I didn't think that my phthalo green mixed with Payne's grey was just as I remembered doing it. So I did it again, this time more dilute. I'm still not sure if it's exactly the colour of sea that I'm thinking of in my mind. But maybe it's different when I'm actually sitting there. Sneaking one last little dilute one in, and this is Ultramarine Intense mixed with Phthalo Green, again very dilute. So you can see that by changing the dilutions you make a big difference to the colour results that you get. So here they are, here's all 8 of them. And let's have a little close-up of those when they're dry. Here are the colours dry, so you can see they're all a little bit sea-ish depending on the weather conditions and the wave conditions. And it doesn't include all the myriad colours that can occur in the sea as well, that have sometimes a lot of yellow in them. So you just have to experiment and actually go there. Onto the foliage green, sap green, Aquarius green, phthalo green blue shade, same one again, Aquarius yellow, yellow ochre and cypress burnt umber. And I use them in different proportions for all kinds of foliage depending on the time of year, because as you know, the leaves get very bright and sap-y in spring. Even still, I rarely use sap green unmixed. Then we've got Aquarius green, which is a sludgy olive green that's highly granulating and very useful, and I often use it unmixed because it does separate into different colours. Then we've got phthalo green, and not forgetting a little bit of a nice clear yellow, and you can use any nice clean yellow you want. It just so happens that I've chosen Aquarius yellow in this palette, but I use other ones by Roman Schmal as well. Then there's yellow ochre and burnt umber. And of course, burnt sienna can be thrown in there as well as one of the mixes for foliage. So let's see what sap green looks like when it's mixed with yellow. Look at that bit where they meet in the middle. Very light and very spring-like. Aquarius green, one that I use mixed less often, but this time I've mixed it with sap green just to show you that it can be a little bit brighter and still retain its granulating nature. Then we've got yellow and phthalo green mixed together thoroughly. You can't even tell the difference because that beautiful fresh lime green is really useful for leaves in strong sunlight. Next up, we've got Aquarius green, and this time it's mixed with yellow ochre. Now, you want to be a bit careful not to have it too yellowy or too browny. Not until autumn anyway. And the same goes for this one. This is sap green plus yellow ochre, and then Aquarius green plus burnt sienna. Messed around with to get the right amount of browny green. And then we've got Aquarius green with burnt umber. And then finally we've got sap green with a little bit of burnt umber mixed in quite well. So that's a good range of greens there. And by darkening them or adding a second layer, you can change those up quite a lot. So here they are dry. You can see how they look. And I hope you can see the 4 seasons going on there, from the reddiest browns to the most pale lime greens and all those dark bits where the tree leaves are in shade. Well, when I'd done all those colour mixes, I realised I hadn't done much with yellow or orange mixed with each other. So even though I didn't think there was a need to show you what they look like together because you can kind of work it out for yourself, I figured I'd just add those at the end. So here we've got Aquarius yellow mixed with Aquarius orange, Payne's grey mixed with Cypress burnt umber for a lovely warm grey, and Cherry quinacridone red mixed with Ultramarine Intense for a very soft lilac-y colour. Mix, yellow and orange makes a nice sunset-y colour, and Payne's grey mixed with any type of burnt umber makes a very warm grey, and it's one I use quite a lot. Just when whatever it is I'm painting should be not too dark grey and not too rich brown, makes Payne's grey and Cypress burnt umber, and you get a nice warm dark grey. Whoops, forgot to add my little last boxes here. So this is a colour mix that I don't think I've ever used, so really it has no business being included on this colour chart. But just because I hadn't mixed it yet, this is Ultramarine Intense mixed with Cherry quinacridone red. And if you were in the business of doing, I don't know, cute rainbow stuffed toys maybe, or little pink teddy bears perhaps, or lilac unicorns, this might be just the colour blend for you. Well, all that talk of teddies and unicorns and pink things, it kind of got me thinking, and off I trotted to the internet to see if I could find something very cute and very pink and very lilac to paint, and this is what I came up with. So it just goes to show you, you can do whatever you want. Paints are your playground, a passage to a playground, and it's all good. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you've got something useful out of it, and I look forward to seeing you next time. If you'd like to get your hands on those paints, I'll include a link in the description. And meanwhile, happy sketching.